Well, hello. How are you? All right, it's Friday. Are you starting it off in a fabulous way? If not, you can turn it around. Grab your beverage. Today I have chosen I didn't fart. My ass just blew you a kiss. It makes me laugh every single time. I think it's funny. You might not think it's funny. You might think it's crass. And that's something that we're going to talk about today, about communication. But I think it's funny. It's a mug that I actually bought for somebody that didn't think it was so funny. So I ended up with a mug. Sometimes people find my humor, some people don't. All right. So, if you've been following me a while, you know that I come on Monday through Friday mornings, Eastern Time, to share something about life that lets you know that number one, you're not alone. And number two, that there are strategies and tactics and ways of getting through our crap, our difficult times that make them shorter and not so difficult. And I'm not here to keep secrets. When I figure something out, I'm here to bring it and share it. And I had a conversation with a friend the other day, and I had totally and forgotten about some communication things that I have learned that I utilize. I use them all the time, and now they've just become second nature to the point that I don't even think to share them. But we were having a conversation and it came up and I thought, I need to share these with you. So what are some communication things? Now these communication tactics, strategies, tips, whatever you want to call them, ways of communicating, work, whether the relationship is a child, a spouse, a friend, a coworker, a team member, any of them. It works. And the first thing that I want to share is that so often when things don't go quite right, we always want to know what? I want to know why. I want to know why. Why were you late? Why didn't you clean up your room? Why did you not return my phone call? Right? We want to know why. But when I found that when I start a question with the word why, that it shows judgment. And it puts the person that you're asking the question to on defense. And I don't want to do that. I just want to know the answer to my question, right? So I have consciously replaced asking people why with the word what or how. Like, for example, if somebody was late, instead of why were you late, I would say, what prevented you from coming on time? Because that's not a judgment, that's a curiosity on what detained them. People don't feel defensive. They don't feel attacked. They just share, oh my gosh, I woke up late. I had no clean clothes. There was no gas in the car. I had to stop at the gas station. They tell you all the things that detain them from from getting there on time. So starting a sentence with what or how has gotten me the information that I've wanted without making the person feel bad. Because I never want to make the person feel bad. That's not my intent. My intent is to just get an answer to my question, which is curious on what prevents you from coming on time? What stopped you from calling me back? What? How? There's other questions that lend more to the word how, and they're not coming to mind right away. Yeah, as I talk to you, maybe it's some of the how questions, but what is an easy one? What prevented you? What stopped you? What deterred you? Um, how did you come to that realization? How did you determine that instead of why did you do that? How did you determine that? Because then they tell you their process, right? And it doesn't make people feel judged. And so now I do this with everyone I come in contact with when I remember is I phrase things in what or how and not why. So try that out the next time you have a conversation with somebody, whether that's a spouse, a child, a team member, a cohort, a friend, doesn't matter who. It's incredible how changing just one word, going from the word why, like why would you do that, to what prevented you from from showing up on time is a game changer. One word. Why to how. Now, another thing that I've learned lately is I'm sorry. I used to believe that when I say I'm sorry, it is because I'm wrong, right? And that's not necessarily accurate, is what I've determined. And even when I don't feel I intended to hurt someone's feelings, right? It's not the intent, it's how the action was perceived. I'll give you a great example because I was watching an interview with Simon Sinek, and he gave a great example. So this is not mine. I got this from Simon Sinek, but I love this story. So when you have a wheelie bag and you are, running, walking through the airport, it's never our intention to run over people's toes. It's just not. I don't intend or want to run over people's toes. And so if that happens inadvertently, unexpectedly, unintentionally, that I roll over someone's foot with my bag, I turn around and I say, I'm sorry. I apologize. Right? Now, if I turned around, made eye contact, and said, what the hell was your foot doing out? Or, I didn't intend to run over your foot. If it wasn't sticking out there, I wouldn't have done it. That would have caused an argument. At the very least, a dirty look, right? And instead, I just apologize. Even though it was not my intention to run over the person's foot, my bag that I am dragging ran over their foot. You with me? So when I say something or do something or don't do something that hurts someone's feelings, that pisses them off, I can apologize for that, even though it wasn't my intention, because it's not saying that I am wrong. I am sorry that what I did hurt you in some way, offended you in some way, impeded on your day in some way. I am truly sorry for that. That's not what I intended. But just like the wheelie bag that I didn't intend to roll over somebody's foot, I still say I'm sorry. And it doesn't mean that I'm wrong. It just means that I feel badly that I caused you to feel bad or hurt you, right? And so reframing what the words I'm sorry means and when to use them has also greatly impacted how I communicate. And there's one other thing that I wanted to share with you today on communication. And that's this. This one thing, if you take nothing else from what I'm about to share with you, but this one, it is all of them are game changers. Going from why to what or how, game changer. Going, from, like giving somebody a dirty look for having their foot in the way, or for, I don't know, something that I didn't intend to do, or I didn't see how that offended somebody. If I offended them, that's not my intention, but I do apologize for that. But this one thing has been such a game changer, especially for my women out there. So, ladies, this one's for you, especially when you're talking to a guy. Are you ready? We don't come with manuals. Look, we don't come with manuals. And so when I learn a Cliff Note version of something that works, I'm going to share it with you. And this works. This works. Okay. So, what is it I'm going to share? Ladies, when we're in a conversation with a significant other, instead of saying, you pissed me off, you were inconsiderate, you were rude, instead of starting my sentences with you, I start them with I feel. You with me? So I feel offended. I feel upset. I feel irritated. I feel frustrated. I feel sad. I feel lonely. There's a lot of emotions that as humans we feel, and I had the ability to express it in a lot of different ways. And I would revert to like 5 key emotions, like anger, sadness, happiness, frustration. You see, fear. Like there's like 5 that I would always say. I am scared. I am sad. I am angry. I am happy. And when I took out this tool, it's called a feelings wheel. And if you don't have one, and if you've never seen one, I encourage and invite you to Google feelings wheel. You can get images on the internet. It is a wheel that in the middle has like those 5 key emotions. But there are so many more that fall under each category, and they go out and they have all these things. So when I can't find the word to really express my emotion, I take out my feelings wheel, and I'm like, I'm not angry, I'm irritated. I'm not sad, I'm frustrated. I'm not sad, I'm lonely. I'm disconnected. You see where I'm going? There's so many other words, and sometimes those 5 key emotions don't adequately express or accurately express what I'm feeling. But when I take out that wheel and I look at all those words, I can hone in on more explicit words that describe the emotion that I'm feeling. So with my husband, I now use I feel blank. I feel angry at myself. I feel frustrated. I feel hurt. I feel disappointment. I feel excited. I feel exuberant. I feel loved. I feel cared for. I feel, it doesn't only have to be negative, ladies. Not only, and guys, if you're listening still, encourage the women in your life to share their feelings and to tell you how they feel, instead of having them vomit or accuse or point fingers, just show them this video. It is game changer. If you're, for guys, chime in. If your loved one, if the woman you love said to you, I feel sad, you would want to fix that because that's how you're wired. I'm feeling unheard. Why is that? That's normally your question. Why is that? And then I get an opportunity to explain. Now, we're talking communication. So I say what I feel. Instead of you insulted me, I would say, I feel insulted. I feel harassed. I feel unappreciated. And then, can I tell you why? That gives me the opportunity to know, is that person in a mindset, maybe they're in the middle of, I don't know, something, and can't continue the conversation. So maybe now's not the right time. Maybe it's a better time in an hour and 15 minutes and 3 minutes. And I normally start off, instead of just verbally vomiting on my poor husband, I ask him, is now a good time to share my feelings? Or can I share something with you? Because sometimes, let's face it, sometimes if someone comes to us and we're in the middle of an email, we're in the middle of thinking, what's for dinner? What do I need to pull out? And someone starts like talking to us, I can't really hear them because my mind is focused on what am I going to pull out for dinner? What am I making? What time do I need to start? But if they say, is now a good time to share something with you? I would say, give me 3 minutes to figure out what's for dinner, and then I'll have the bandwidth to listen. That's communication. Asking if it's a good time to share your feelings or share your thoughts so that you can be heard. Because you don't want to waste your breath, right? And you don't want to be frustrated and irritated and upset because they're not listening. Ask them, are you at a place that you can listen? And if they say yes, then I say, I feel, and I find my feeling, what feeling it is that I'm feeling in that moment. And then I explain why. And I do my best not to use the word you. So I am angry at myself because I think that my reaction sent the wrong message. Never said to you. What do you mean, sent the wrong message? I think that my behavior sent the message that that the way everything transpired was okay. And I'm here to say that it's not. It's not okay. Never use the word you, right? It's not accusatory. It doesn't cause people to go on defense. It just states what is. I am feeling this way because of this, right? And not all the time can we avoid you, but when I can, I do. I do. Sometimes in explaining why I am feeling a certain way, I have to say what that person did, right? I'm feeling this way because, here's a good one. I'm feeling this way because I've created all sorts of stories around your non-reaction to my question. You see, when people don't react, I create stories and they're never good. I seem to fill in stories that say they don't care, they're too busy, I'm not important. None of which do I think that you really think, but that's where my mind goes. I still used the word you, but it was more about me. Does this make sense? If this makes sense, let me know by giving me a thumbs up in the comments below. And so I use statements that start with I feel, specifically, fill in the blank. And then after I communicate how I feel, I communicate what I need. So then I don't say, I need you to start picking up. No, again, that's a you statement, right? I need to feel like I'm more in a partnership. Didn't use the word you. It's a game changer, but it takes a lot of thought. It takes a lot of intention. It takes a lot of planning. It takes the ability to pause, think about what you want to say instead of blurting it out without thinking. Many times in the past, I would have an emotion, blurt it out, and be on my way. You're a blankety blank for blankety blank, and I'm pissed off at you because of that. Now I start with I feel pissed off. I feel irritated. Why? Because I don't feel heard. Because I feel ignored. Because I feel alone. Because I feel I am doing everything. Not that you're not pulling your fair share. I feel like I'm doing everything. See the difference? No finger pointing, no accusation. There's no argument. It becomes a conversation. It becomes a discussion. It becomes an ability to share your thoughts and feelings instead of pushing buttons, getting agitated and irritated, and our voices elevating and then screaming and getting emotional. Because here's something else that I've realized over the many years, and that is I can't communicate to someone or receive communication from someone when my emotional level is above about a 2. I'm going to say that again. I can't communicate or receive communication when my emotional state is above a 2. So, in order to keep my emotional state constant, calm, where my brain doesn't go firing off all irritated or sad or wounded, I need to stay in I am statements. I am feeling, or I feel. I need, right? I am needing statements, and focus it on me. That's all I can control. That's all it's impacting. And by doing that, the conversation becomes, how can I help you with what you're going through? How can I be better so that you're not irritated? I don't have to tell you I need you to shape up. I don't need to threaten you. I don't need to call you names, loser, lazy. Like I don't, those are not helpful. That's not helpful. It might feel really good in the moment. And I will admit that an older version of me would have reverted back to name calling. Yep, been there, done that. Learned the hard way. Doesn't get me where I want to go. Right? Because that's not really the message. The message is that in this case, if it's I don't know, if your spouse isn't picking up after themselves, if they're not, like, they leave their socks on the ground, John doesn't do that kind of stuff, but leaves his socks on the ground and it really pisses you off and irritates you, right? Don't worry. He does other things that irritates me. We all have our little things that trigger us. But instead of saying you're a slob, you're a pig, we don't live in a pig pen, all you comments. I am feeling frustrated. Why are you feeling frustrated? Because I like to live in a cleaned up house, and every time I turn around, I see something on the floor. Has nothing, no you statements. I feel frustrated. Why? Because I am working, it bothers me when things are out of place or laying around, and every time I turn around, I see something on the floor. I need help in picking up so that I don't feel irritated. Is that not totally different? Then you're a pig, you're a slob. Why don't you pick up your shit? None of that's gonna be productive. And so, gratefully, I have learned these different ways of communicating. I have found that they are way more effective at being calm, in explaining and feeling heard, when I can do it at a level of a 2, not a 10. When I use I am feeling, or I feel, and I need, and leaving you out of it. And hopefully these strategies, these tips, these tools will help you communicate better and foster better friendships, relationships, whether they're at work. Nobody likes to be called a lazy person. And maybe what we deem as lazy is somebody who's battling a health issue. Maybe it's somebody who's not sleeping at home because they're caring for a loved one. Maybe there's a lot of things that could cause somebody to fall asleep at work, to show up late, to not get something done. And when we say, why are you so lazy? Doesn't make anybody feel safe enough to share their situation. But what causes you to fall asleep at work? How come you can't sleep at night? What can I do to support you? How can I help? My friend, it's a game changer. It's a game changer in relationships of any kind. Personal, professional, doesn't matter. I'd love for you, the next time you get irritated, frustrated, sad, lonely, feel unheard, feel unappreciated, or feel excited, feel proud, to share that. We don't just need to feel when we're disappointed, angry, upset, frustrated, sad, lonely. We can also and should also share when we're exuberated, when we're feeling accomplished. I feel accomplished. I feel so proud. I feel so elated, exuberant. Share all of the emotions and share why. But make sure that the person that you're sharing it with is in a space to listen when you share them. running in because I am super excited that I got a sponsor for an event when John is in the middle of crunching numbers is not the time for me to share. It's okay for me to go in and say, let me know when you have a moment for me to share something with you. And he could say, give me 5 minutes, give me 30 minutes. And now I have his full attention. It's a tricky thing, and it feels odd and uncomfortable and unfamiliar doing this. But the more I have done it, the more it has become second nature, the more aware I am. Now, in the beginning, I wasn't. I would just come in and be like, run into his office and start blurting things. And then like, why are you not listening? Why? You. Yeah, I've been there. I've done it. And what I find happens for me is really kind of interesting. When I first learned these tools, I would find that I would run in there and blurt it out and be like, oh, I did it again. I would realize I had done it afterwards. Do you ever do that? You're implementing something new and then you realize that you kind of screwed it up. Hey, Carrie, how are you this morning? I'm talking about communication and how to best communicate by not using the word you and not asking why and reframing things and rephrasing things in order to find out the answers you really want to find out without having them feel defensive or be in a screaming match or, tit for tat or any of those kinds of things. So if that's something that you're curious about, I invite you to, when I get off here in a few minutes, to go back and listen, because changing a single word and going from why to what was a game changer. And now I'm talking about, instead of you statements, I statements, and talking about my feelings, I feel or I am feeling, and what I need. I need. Because no one can read my mind, right? And some people, when they're feeling shame or they're feeling sadness or they're feeling anger, want a hug. And others want you to leave them the F alone. And so knowing what I need and communicating that, I feel irritated at not feeling heard. I need some space to process this. I'll be back in 30 minutes and we can have a conversation. I need a hug. I need to cry. I need to throw something against a wall. Knowing what I need and expressing what I need gives others the opportunity to actually fulfill the thing that I need and not have to guess at it, right? Nothing's worse than sitting there going, oh, this person looks like they need a hug, but I'm not sure they're a hugger. Or, oh, this person looks like they need some space, but I don't know, do they need space? Or do they need reassurance? It's easier if you just tell people what you need. Or if you're with somebody that hasn't shared that, ask. I can see that you're really upset. What do you need in this moment? What? Or what can I do to help you in this moment? Even better. What can I do to help you in this moment? Taking the word you out, inserting the word I. It's something to be practiced. I don't have it perfectly. I do much better at it than I did in the beginning. And the first time, like I said, the first time I would run in and I would realize that I just vomited on my husband without even asking. Then the second time I realized and I would ask, and then when we would do it, I would revert to you comments and not I comments. Right? And you get better over time. It's just like when you're riding a bike. You get better the more you practice. And good golly, life gives me plenty of opportunities to practice I feel and I need. And what or how instead of why. And as I'm very intentional with my words, but sometimes I say things that unintentionally offend or hurt or disappoint. And for those, I am truly sorry. It's never my intention. And when I am sorry, I say that. And sometimes I'm not sorry. I'm not sorry. And I don't apologize when I am not sorry. You know, sometimes I speak my truth in the kindest way possible, and I don't have any control over the reaction of the person on the receiving end. And so I can't control that. And sometimes some things that need to be said are hard to hear. And I'm sorry that they're hard to hear. But I'm not sorry for saying them. I'm being very clear, right? I think that the more I learn about communication, the more I realize how unclear I have been throughout my life and how I'm learning and practicing to be much clearer and come from a place of calm than highly emotional, giving myself the opportunity to process the feeling before I share it. How many times has someone said or done something and you react on literally on a dime? Something is said and boom, pisses you off, and you have gone from happy to horrid in less than a heartbeat. I'm working on not reacting at somebody when that happens, but to take a moment, go for a walk, go in another room, go talk to my dog, go vent, go scream, get the emotion out, and then say, what am I feeling? Why am I feeling it? And what do I need? And then when I can get crystal clear on the exact emotion, not just anger, but I feel disrespect. Getting crystal clear on the exact emotion and exactly what I need allows me to communicate that much clearer than when I react instead of taking a moment to process and then respond. Now, I'm not perfect at this, and I can't do this in every situation. Sometimes there is a reaction. Sometimes there is. And for those, I come back and I try again. Let's do that again. Can I attempt to do that again? I don't like the way that went down. Nothing wrong with redos. What do they call those in golf? Mulligans? Call it a mulligan, right? Make light of it. Yeah, I bumbled that one. That was a blunder. Can I attempt to do that again? If somebody were to say that to me, if my husband were to come and say, yeah, I literally exploded. I didn't react. I reacted. I didn't respond. Now that I've had time to analyze, can I respond? Can I respond instead of react? I'd be like, certainly, right? Come from a place of calm. Ask if now's a good time. Have conversations that communicate your feelings by saying, I feel, or I am feeling, and what I need. Remove the word you. Replace why with what or how. How did you come to this? How did this get to this point? Instead of, why are you reacting like this? Will greatly enhance your relationships. And I'm curious, when you attempt this, let me know which one you're going to start with. Just choose one. Just choose one. My first one would probably be what? That was my first one. Changing why to what or how is the one that I started with. So I invite you to start with that one. And make sure when you're doing that to, when possible, remove the word you. Not always can you do that when you're asking that question. Like, what caused you to be late? You're going to need to say you, right? Or how did you come to this? You need to have the word you in there. So maybe start there and see how that goes for a while before implementing the next one, which would be I feel and I need. And being really crystal clear. Pull out that feelings wheel and figure out exactly what feeling you feel and what you need in the moment. And I need for you to have the most amazing day ever. Hopefully you're adding some fun to it. I started my day with a friend on a walk with our dogs. It was super nice, super duper nice to start my day that way. And now I'm also starting with you. And now I'm gonna go do some administrative work. And we'll see what else. I'm gonna also work on my crochet project. I may jump in the sauna again today. And I hope that whatever is on your plate today, that you take some time for you and know that you deserve to have a good day. And I'm here rooting you on and cheering you on and letting you know that you are awesome, my friend. And I look forward to seeing you on Monday. Make it a great weekend. See ya.